We are back. Time for another edition of Carolina Insider Live. My name is Jones Angell, as always, next to Adam Lucas. And Adam, have another great show coming up. We have a terrific guest, and a guest who's had a very busy week here joining us in just a moment, and Aaron Sabato, former Diamond Heel player and now a first-round draft choice of the Minnesota Twins. We have a jam-packed BMW social drive as well. Before we get to all that, just a reminder, this will be our final show for the spring and early summer, something that we've been trying out. Hopefully you have enjoyed. We've had a lot of fun bringing it to you. As we get a little closer to the upcoming season, we'll be revisiting this show and love to hear some feedback from you if something that you enjoyed, if there's some suggestions that you may have or anything, just your thoughts on the show. We'd love to hear it. And Adam, looking forward to hopefully getting going again with this show coming up in August.
This has been a lot of fun. We want to make sure it's been fun for you to watch. We're slowly working on getting everyone who's in the open for the Carolina Insider Live as an actual interview guest, which is why we're having Aaron Sabato today.
We made progress in that way today. And Adam, as we mentioned, this is somebody, A, we're really excited to talk to, and B, that's had a busy week in our conversation with Aaron. In fact, the entire show brought to you by Wells Fargo. When our communities need us, Wells Fargo is here to help. And Adam, somebody who's had a terrific Carolina career, a little shorter than all the Tar Heels would have liked, though. Aaron Sabato joining us today.
We are very excited right now to be joined by Carolina Baseball's latest first-round draft pick, Aaron Sabato, who has had a busy week after being a first-round draft pick of the Minnesota Twins last week in the Major League Draft. Aaron, thanks so much for giving us some time. What's your last week of your life been like?
Oh, thank you guys for having me on. The last week has been pretty crazy, honestly surreal. I still can't believe, that my childhood dream of me playing professional baseball has come true. But I'm just kind of soaking it all in and kind of just waiting to hear to see what's happening, especially with all these crazy times.
Yeah, to that point, I think anybody who grows up playing a sport kind of has that ultimate dream of making it to the big leagues, whatever it might be, baseball, football, or whatever. When you started realizing that this could be a reality for you, what kind of feelings did that bring up for you? Just what did you think back on Little League or anything like that? Just what kind of feelings did it bring up?
Yeah, I mean, it's been one of those things that, when you choose where you want to go to school and you play travel ball, and as you play and as you keep going, it's something that you always wanted to do. And when it starts to get closer, you don't count the days, but it's like a day that's in the back of your mind and that's there. And as it started to approach and got closer and closer, I was kind of like, oh my God, like this is going to happen. And it was almost like I didn't really believe it. I would go to bed at night and every day it got closer and I was like, oh my God, like this is really going to be it. And looking back at UNC, I was like, oh my God, like I'm going to be done playing there and all my friends and the coaches and the opportunity I got there. But then I just felt how blessed I was to have met the people along my way and starting, professional baseball. But that feeling, it's so hard to bottle up and put into words, but I am truly blessed.
What was your draft night like? Did you have a sense of how things were going to go or where you might land, or were you just watching along with the rest of us trying to see what was going to happen? Yeah,
so I had heard that I probably would have went higher than where I had gone, and I was kind of thinking, okay, maybe certain points, maybe in like the middle of the round, like 15 through 20 around there. And as it kind of got lower and lower, we had a camera set up in my house, but as it got lower and lower, I was actually on the phone, talking with my agent, and we were talking about some stuff, and my TV upstairs was delayed and my whole family was downstairs, and my whole family downstairs started erupting, like everybody started cheering, and I was upstairs, and I had no idea that I had gotten picked. I didn't get a phone call to me or my agent, and so I had no idea. But my family downstairs had heard that I had gotten picked, so I was ran down there and saw the TV and saw that I had been chosen by the Minnesota Twins.
So, Aaron, obviously this year's draft is unique because of everything that everybody's dealing with. And I know this may be a hard question to answer because it's the only experience you've had. But how did your experience kind of leading up to the draft, how do you think that was different than if we were in, let's say, a traditional spring and summer here leading up to a traditional type of baseball draft?
Yeah, I think the one thing I would say would be different is I didn't get to experience it with, 40 of my teammates. I mean, we're the University of North Carolina. We plan on playing in regionals and super regionals and in Omaha. So it's one of those things, I missed out like last year when I got to see Michael Bush and be right next to him for that with all of our teammates. I missed out on that. But with this experience, I mean, it was different, but it was also kind of cool in the sense that I got every single one of my family members. I had high school coaches come like at my house. I mean, we just socially distanced in the back and stuff. But in that sense, it was cool to get the crowd that I had been playing with my entire life. And so that was really awesome.
Let's talk about some Carolina baseball stuff. Tell us about your bat being blessed.
Yeah, so I mean, my family we're very religious. We go to church every Sunday whenever we're home, and I mean now it's kind of we can't. It's broadcasting on like our laptops and TVs. But yeah, my dad was one of those things that my dad had brought the bat he's really close with the priest. He always goes to church, and so he brought it in, and they were kind of looking through, and my dad was like, "Do you have any blessings for athletic stuff?" And our priest was looking through the Bible and other readings and stuff, and he had found one that actually was for athletics. And so he had blessed my bat and my glove, and then that was last year, my freshman year, and we did one again this year. So it's been more of just like tradition, honestly, for us.
And now I heard that Ashton McGee may have broken one of your bats, but then it came back out here at the end of this season, and all of a sudden you got hot. What exactly happened all with that? Yeah,
so it was in the ACC tournament last year. We had been sharing a bat the whole year, and I completely fell in love with the bat that I was using. I mean, baseball players were very superstitious. I was doing well. I loved the bat. And Ashley McGee hit off the end and got a hit, and I think it was against Miami, I believe. And the bat just blew up. The barrel went to first base. The handle was at it was in his hands. And I remember him and Coach Wiersbicki, when they were at first base, kind of laughing, and my face was just like, I had just had a complete blank stare on my face. I was like, oh my God, like what bat am I going to use? I don't know what I'm going to be like. Am I going to be able to hit with this other bat? But it's just kind of like little things like that. And eventually we went back, and I tried to like tape the bat up in our equipment room, but I knew it wasn't going to work. And then I was like, I didn't know what bat I was going to use for the regional and stuff. And then his dad actually had one brand new sitting at his house, and he found one from one of his friends, and he brought it for the regional as soon as the regional started. And so with that bat, that was the first time I had used it, and I ended up having a really good regional and super regional, and I just kind of fell in love with that bat, and that was the one that I used for this season as well. So it was more just a superstitious thing. Once I felt the bat doing well with it, I didn't want to let it go. That's why I was devastated when the other one broke.
Superstitious in baseball, that doesn't sound right. What are you talking about, Aaron? So, Aaron, when did young tyke baseball player Aaron Sabato became mashing home run big dude Aaron Sabato? When did that transition occur for you?
It was probably around high school. It was about sophomore year. I was watching videos actually the other day going with my dad, and I was looking at me in freshman year, and I was kind of hitting the ball, but not how I hit it now. And then just throughout all the work around my sophomore year, I think I went from 3 home runs my sophomore year to like 12 my junior year. And we only play about 15 to 20 games. And so that was a huge jump for me. And then when I went on the summer ball circuit and I was starting to hit balls, like 350, 375, 400 plus with wood bats, that's when I kind of got like, okay, I can hit the ball pretty far. And then I was just more of like, I want to keep working. I want that to be consistent. I don't want to just hit like a random, home run here and there. Like I want to be able to drive the ball consistently. And that's kind of when I turned, is when I started to play the real summer ball circuit and playing against the best competition. And once I started succeeding at that level, that was when I knew like I can do this. I can do this pretty well.
Let me ask you a little bit about the consistency, because I think anybody who follows baseball has seen players who they may get a hold of one and hit one a long way, but they also might strike out a bunch. You are not exactly that way, a little more consistent hitter. What's the key in having that power, but also being somebody who could hit a big single or a double or something like that?
Yeah, so just in baseball terms, we refer to it as plate discipline. And for me, it's I want to be able to swing at strikes and take balls. It's not going up there every time trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark. It's if I don't get a pitch that I want to hit, it's being able to take my walks and get on for the team and increase my on-base percentage, and just swinging at good pitches when it comes back down to it. And so that's, for me, how I transformed like my power into being consistent all-around hitter.
People spend a lot of time now on things like launch angle and exit velocity and things like that. Do you pay attention to that, or where do you feel like your power is coming from, other than being strong, which you obviously are?
Yeah, I just think it's all about me putting everything together. But I just know when you talk about launch angle and exit velocity and things like that, I know that if I get a ball, if I get a mistake pitch from the pitcher, and I'm putting my best swing on it, I know that ball's going to be hit a long way. So I know when you talk about average like exit velocity and stuff like that, I know I've put up a couple of like 114, 115, and I've hit some home runs above 100 exit velo with like 40 launch angle, which they say is kind of ridiculous. But that I kind of try not to pay attention to. It's kind of like what Jones said about being a consistent all-around hitter, and I know if I put a good swing on it, on a good pitch, I know I'm going to hit the ball a long way pretty hard.
Aaron, your Carolina career a little different because of the way that it ended this year. It was such a unique season for everybody, having it stop, maybe a third or a fourth of the way through the year like you guys had to do. When you look back at your Carolina career, what are some of the memories that'll bring a smile to your face?
I mean, it's going to be, just the teammates that I had met along, and also just the experience I got on the college campus. I mean, you're on a campus with, 20,000 plus kids, 30,000, 18 undergrad, and just learning the way that the teachers really just love teaching and love being there. But then also, I met friends that I'll know I'll have for the rest of my life, and coaching staff that really care for you more than just baseball wise, and they care for you like how you are off the field, and they make relationships with your families. And I think like that's why people love Chapel Hill, and that's why people love the University of North Carolina, and that's why people come to games every single weekend and every single day. But kind of like this experience of being drafted, it's something that I'll never put into words of how much Chapel Hill means to me, and I know that I'm a Tar Heel for life. And when they say that, they really mean it. And now I kind of understand it now that I'm not going to return. But that's kind of something that I understand now.
Part of that college experience that I know was important to you was the work you did at the Children's Hospital. Why was that important for you to go be part of, and what did you feel like you got out of it?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, everybody remembers me for on the field stuff, but a lot of people don't spend a lot of time looking into the off the field stuff, and for me that's the biggest part. If I can make an impact on anybody's life, and especially those kids who are going through way harder times than I have or I've ever been through, and to have a smile on their face when they can come out to the ball field, and the fact that they can have so much fun by just being there watching us play the game of baseball, and bring a smile to them, that means way more to me than hitting home runs and playing and just playing baseball in general. And the fact that I got to meet friends for life through that Children's Hospital and Dr. Thompson, and realizing that I can have a relationship with these kids and Dr. Thompson for the rest of my life, that's stuff that means way more to me than the game of baseball.
Aaron, what's next now? What are the next steps for you? What do the next couple weeks and months look like in your life?
I'm not too sure. I'm waiting really to hear about what's going on with Major League Baseball. I heard today, I'm pretty sure they're going to play. I was reading some of the deals and stuff like that all over social media. But I would guess probably in the next couple of weeks, maybe first or second week of July, I'll probably be out of here somewhere, most likely Florida, where their spring training is. But that'd be my guess. But otherwise, right now, I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens. Kind of getting anxious now. It's been a while without baseball. I've never had these months off before.
One of my favorite things that I've seen a Tar Heel say lately is you saying on social media last week or last couple weeks that one of your favorite things about baseball is seeing the fear in the pitcher's eyes when you step in the batter's box. Was there an actual time in an ACC game where you were in the box and you knew this guy does not want to throw me the ball?
I don't know if it's a one-time thing, but that's kind of what I tell myself. When I get up there, I'm like, I'm the last person that this pitcher wants to see and wants to face. Whether it's nobody on base, whether it's one out in the ninth or down one in the ninth, kind of like how it was against Wilmington. But I think it's just one of those things that I know what I can do, and I think everybody knows who I am in baseball wise. And when they face North Carolina and they're facing me. But no, I don't think there's one time I know that. I think it's just more of something I'll tell myself all the time when I'm facing another pitcher.
That Wilmington shot, Aaron, made me think of this question. What's the sweetest contact that you've had as a Tar Heel? Is there one time that you remember that you got a hold of one and you just knew at that moment, you're like, yeah, that's a Sabato bomb right there?
There have been a couple, but if you want to talk about that, my favorite one is by far Wilmington, the UNC Wilmington home run. I mean, I've never played in a regional. That was my first game ever. And, the atmosphere was unbelievable. It's like one I've never felt or been a part of. And to be down by one in the top of the ninth inning, that's something you dream of. And the fact that it happened in North Carolina to help my team come back and, eventually win the game to start off the regional and eventually move on to the Supers. I mean, that was probably my favorite home run at the University of North Carolina.
Aaron, man, congratulations. We're sorry to see you not in a Tar Heel uniform moving forward, but so happy for you and certainly wish you the best. And we'll be watching your career with a lot of interest, and we appreciate your time this afternoon.
Oh, no problem. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Time now for a jam-packed BMW social drive. Adam will steer us in. Tar Heel fans, don't forget to visit our partners, your local North Carolina BMW dealers, providing legendary performance, exceptional offers, and a premium ownership experience. You can test drive the ultimate driving machine today. Adam, we were talking baseball, of course, with Aaron Sabato. Let's talk a little more baseball. Another Tar Heel, Luca Delatri, a free agent signing of the St. Louis Cardinals. And little different year this year with the draft. Instead of 50 total rounds, there were only 5, so just not as many players getting drafted. So good to see Luca getting an opportunity at the next level.
Such a tough situation for anyone who wasn't in that top 5 rounds, because you really have to do the legwork on what organization fits you the best, where do you think might develop you the best, because they're not selecting you, really, you're selecting them. Hopefully Luca Delatri, who had just some really unfortunate injury problems here at Carolina, can go to the St. Louis Cardinals, which traditionally a group that does a great job with pitchers, and get healthy and really be productive, because when he's been healthy, he's been great at Carolina.
That hurt Adam to say something nice about the Cardinals as a Chicago Cubs fan. So he means it, Luca. Best of luck, certainly, to the former Tar Heel pitcher. Adam, let's move now to football. And Carolina already well represented in the College Football Hall of Fame, and they have 2 more greats that have been nominated. Julius Peppers, Harris Barton, each named on the ballot for the College Football Hall of Fame.
This was great news. I think everyone knows Julius Peppers. You may not be as familiar with how good Harris Barton was, kind of playing in that in-between era for Carolina football, right before Mac Brown got here the first time, but he was so productive on the offensive line for the Tar Heels, and hopefully they will join, we'll see once the actual voting comes out. Dre Bly, Don McCauley, Charlie Justice, Art Weiner, and William Fuller are the players, Jones, who are already in the College Football Hall of Fame, and Carolina's got 2 coaches in that group as well.
Yeah, Carl Snavely and Mac Brown, both in the College Football Hall of Fame as well. In fact, Coach Brown had a big ceremony here in Chapel Hill thanking a lot of his former players. This was before he became the head coach for his second tenure. And gosh, so many of the players expressed their admiration for Coach Brown and all that he did to help them on and off the field. So best of luck to Harris Barton, Julius Pepper. I mean, both those guys deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
They should be in eventually, if not this year, certainly sometime in the near future.
Adam, a couple of weeks ago, we mentioned Harrison Barnes and talked a lot about Harrison's, just his quality of the person that he is, in addition to the quality of basketball player that he is. And a nice little note to remind us of that came out earlier this week.
Great news for Harrison Barnes at his hometown of Ames, Iowa, as they're building a new Ames High School, and they're going to name the gym and the court after Harrison Barnes. Of course, as Jones told you, he had given almost $200,000 to Ames schools a couple weeks ago. But great news for Harrison Barnes, who's really made an effort to continue to stay involved in his hometown, even as he's moved around the NBA from Dallas to Sacramento. Still wanted to stay in touch with Iowa, and now they want to stay in touch with him, and certainly you would think that's an honor he's very proud of. Somebody who Harrison Barnes always looked up to, and a lot of young basketball players looked up to. Michael Jordan, who's been in our thought process a lot here recently. Michael back in the news this week as far as the Tar Heels are concerned, when the Carolina basketball account tweeted out some archival video from the '82 championship game. Let's check it out.
As for Jimmy, Jimmy was supposed to fake inside to Matt, or James, flash into the middle, get everybody going towards him, and maybe throw cross court to me. As for the shot, Coach said take an open shot, a shot that you feel comfortable with, and I think I did. Once you're young, you always dream about you being in a pressure situation and you coming out ahead of it. And I saw it on the way over on the bus that my shot would win the ball game for me. And I never thought, that it would happen that way.
From an early age, Michael Jordan getting it done. Adam, the most famous shot in Carolina basketball history, right? Got to be.
I think it has to be. And just a nice reminder, whatever your line of work is, you never know what you might be doing that people might be watching 40 years from now. So if you're sitting down with a young freshman who just made a big shot, ask him not to wear his red polo shirt if he's talking about the most famous shot in Carolina basketball history.
We couldn't quite green screen that out to get it Carolina blue, but we'll let Michael Jordan slide by with that one right now. Adam, Michael Jordan may be the best dunker to play at Carolina, but this next gentleman might have something to say about that. That's Vince Carter. We mentioned Vince last week and him announcing officially his retirement from the NBA after more than 20 years in the league. And the ACC Network going to commemorate Vinsanity coming up this Saturday, the 20th, all day. You can check out some of the great games from Vince Carter during his Tar Heel days.
There's some great games on this list. There's the 97 game against Wake Forest that we talked about last week, the ripped my pants game when he dunked on Tim Duncan. There's the 97 game against UCLA. There's 2 games against Duke in 1998, the home game with the what could have been lob off the backboard from Ed Cota, and then the big win in the ACC tournament, and then also a big double overtime win over Georgia Tech that same year, 1998. Vince Carter was great in that game and had a memorable dunk, but also, Jones, Shammond Williams really good in that game as well.
Yeah, poured in 42 points, Shammond Williams did, in that particular game against Georgia Tech. Adam, let's change gears now back to Tar Heel football. And last week, we unfortunately had to tell you the news about Tommy Davis, former Tar Heel athlete who passed away at the far too young age of just 37 years old. We mentioned the GoFundMe that has been set up for Tommy's family. That GoFundMe set up by the Carolina football family. And on the audio version of the Carolina Insider podcast, we asked people to send in some of their favorite football memories. And for each email that we received, we were going to donate $10 to the GoFundMe campaign to help Tommy Davis's family. And man, we received a bunch of great emails and a bunch of great memories for a really good cause.
We're going to read some of those on the audio podcast tomorrow. We're also going to talk about some of them today. Maybe you want to send yours in. Maybe you didn't hear that version of the audio pod, carolinainsiderpod@gmail.com. Or just put your memory right over there in the comments section of Facebook. We'll count it. We have decreed that those count. But CF Davis sent us an email, and he said his favorite Carolina football memory, Jones, was a really good one.
Yeah.
The 1996 season-opening Tar Heel win over Clemson. I think you had to live through this to fully appreciate what an absolute stunner this was as Carolina demolished the Tigers 45-0 with this newfangled offense, Jones, that had all this passing.
Yeah.
And Chris Keldorf was throwing the ball and Leon Johnson was catching it, and Carolina just crushed Clemson on that afternoon at Kenan Stadium.
That was Chris Keldorf's first game as a Tar Heel, set up that really tremendous 1996 season for Carolina when the Tar Heels had just 2 losses in the regular season, and then of course built into that next year as well in 1997. And you see some great players there, although Leon's going to be upset that he got caught on that long run down the field, but he makes up for it on the next play. But 45-0 Carolina over Clemson in the season opener. That was CF Davis's favorite Tar Heel memory. Hey, there's a Tar Heel Sports Network color analyst Brian Simmons with a pick on that one, so getting it done back then too. So send in your favorite Tar Heel football memories. As we said, we'll donate $10 to the Tommy Davis GoFundMe. There is that address if you'd like to check it out and help out. That number that you see as far as money raised, that's an old number from a graphic that we had last week. That number's closer to $30,000 now, but the goal is $50,000 to help Tommy Davis's family. And again, our thoughts are with Tommy Davis's wife, his young daughter, and his entire family after he tragically lost his life. Well, Adam, no easy way to transition off of that to anything else, but we thought we would close the show today with something a little more lighthearted. And we were talking about the audio version of the podcast. Recently, we had Dan Cortez. You know Dan Cortez. He's a former Tar Heel football player. He hosted MTV Sports. He was in all the Rock and Jock games back in the early 90s, and had Dan on the show. Had a great time talking to him. And Adam, he has a new book coming out, and also there you see his new book. But also Dan has a long history in a lot of different ways with Carolina.
New book out this week. You can get your copy of Step Off at all your major bookstores. But Dan got his start right here on campus at the University of North Carolina with student TV, a little soap opera called General College, which Jones and I didn't realize was so popular among the listeners of the podcast. So we've gone to the archives and we've dug up this clip of the Dan Cortez on the UNC student TV soap opera General College. You might notice Bob Holliday from WRAL in here as well.
4 shutouts, that's something to celebrate, isn't it? Oh, sure, we're going to go out, we're going to have a good time this weekend. You can definitely count on that, and we'll be ready to come back next week and play some more soccer. He's confident, but he's earned it.
Hey, I was watching that. Too bad. Look, I just can't take it anymore. Oh, you're just jealous because your roommate gets more attention than you do.
Woo! Kenny, my boy, what's up? Hey, Jeff, how's it going?
Yeah, man, you're a star. We saw you on the tube and everything.
Yeah? Well, that's cool. Listen, we're having a little party out on the balcony, so why don't you come on out?
No, we gotta... Let's go.
All right, I have a lot of questions about this. Number one, why are they sitting so close to one another on the couch?
They were not social distancing. They wanted to be within knee tapping distance. I mean, Jones and I have not ever been that close on this show.
And why did non-green sweater guy sell out his friend so quickly? He knew his friend was upset. Dan shows up. He's like, yeah, let's go party, bro.
Well, I think because green sweater guy was kind of a buzzkill. Why was he so angry that Dan Cortez was a good soccer player in this world? And what timing from Dan Cortez, which we grow to appreciate in Rock and Jock. On the one hand, he's over there with Bob Holliday being interviewed. Boom, he's walking in the dorm the very next second. Incredible stuff. I love all the facial expressions from angry green sweater guy. Just everything about that, Oscar worthy.
One day we'll find out what was on that poster in the background behind Dan Cortez. One day. All right, we've had a lot of fun with you this week and every week on Carolina Insider Live. A reminder, this is our final show for the spring and early summer. I'd love to hear your feedback and whether you're interested in seeing more of this when we get a little closer to the upcoming campaign. And if we do continue the show, the best way to bring it to you and what kind of stuff that you'd like to see. All those things, we'd love to hear your opinion on it. But we've had a lot of fun. Thanks so much for being with us. Continue to have a hopefully safe and healthy summer, and we'll see you soon here on Carolina Insider Live.